Ethan Sullivan's mistress was pregnant. To make me agree to step aside, his younger brother Lucas, who had just started college, was pushed forward. Lucas looks 70% like me. He'll keep you company this year in my place. With tears in my eyes, I signed the divorce papers. That very night, I eagerly knocked on Lucas's door. The documents piled high on the desk. Ethan massaged his temples wearily. Besides the money and property we agreed on, I'll give you an additional 2% of company shares. I lowered my gaze, eyelashes trembling, fingers clutching my skirt hem. But internally, I was rapidly calculating the shares' value. Ethan's mistress, Bella, had gotten pregnant. Hormones raging. The girl had recently been acting out, trying to imitate those novel heroines who disappear with the baby. She hadn't even made it past airport security before Ethan's men intercepted her. Still, she persisted, threatening to abort. She claimed her child would inherit her shameful status as the other woman. Better to never be born than live as an illegitimate child, she argued. Parental love means planning for your child's future. For her baby's sake, she was determined. Despite round-the-clock surveillance from multiple nannies, she showed signs of miscarriage. When I remained silent, Ethan mistook it for reluctance. His tone softened. Liv, this separation is temporary. Once Bella gives birth, we'll remarry. The child needs legitimacy. I kept my eyes downcast, murmuring meekly, I understand. I played the role of docile, devoted wife to perfection. Though try as I might, I couldn't squeeze out actual tears. Honestly, his offer was too generous. Not bursting into laughter on the spot testified to my professional composure. Suppressing my glee, I prepared to deliver some parting lines. Voice quivering. I managed. I know. I'm not used to being apart so long. Half of this was true. During our marriage, though he rarely came home, he'd never stayed away longer than 2 months. To placate Bella, Ethan had promised to live with her. After prolonged silence, Ethan sighed heavily, reaching his decision. Lucas resembles me closely. He'll look after you this year. My head snapped up in genuine surprise. I hadn't expected Ethan to mortgage his own brother just to install his mistress. His lips pressed into a thin line, eyes devoid of emotion, telltale signs of impatience. I appropriately averted my gaze, nodding meekly, visibly relieved. Ethan added, 1 year will pass quickly. After the birth, we'll raise the child as our own. As for Bella, his phone rang, cutting him off. Whatever emergency Bella had concocted this time made Ethan promise immediate arrival before rushing out. Pausing at the door, he finally said, my assistant will deliver the divorce papers. I watched his retreating figure, hands clamped over my mouth, shoulders shaking violently. From behind, it might have looked like desperate sobbing. I was afraid my laughter was too loud and Ethan might hear it. Ethan acted quickly. No sooner had I signed the divorce papers than Lucas showed up at my door. Ethan wasn't much of a husband, but he's quite the expert at being an ex. Giving me money was one thing, but even arranging my next partner? That's next level. I took a leisurely bath, feeling rather pleased with myself. Rummaged through my walk-in closet, slipping into a silk nightgown that caught my eye. To say I wasn't excited would be a lie. Ethan had striking features, and Lucas bore 70 to 80% resemblance, though with softer, more delicate facial contours. Fresh into college, he carried that youthful vitality. Ethan had his own younger brother act as his substitute. Never mind that Lucas was still tender, how old was he anyway? They say men hit 65 the moment they pass 25. Ethan didn't often stay overnight at home anyway. On the rare occasions he did, we'd just lie under the covers talking, nothing more. After all, We were both pushing 30. Keeping up appearances at home while sowing wild oats elsewhere. Even if he had the desire, he lacked the stamina. I stood outside Lucas' bedroom door, adjusting my expression, toning down the visible excitement. Then knocked. Lucas looked nervous when he saw me, only cracking the door slightly. "Sister-in-law, did you need something?" I studied him intently, as if searching for traces of Ethan in his features. "Your brother said if I missed him, I should look at you more. This whole year, you'll be taking his place, right?" Perhaps my gaze burned too intensely. Lucas turned his face away, murmuring a soft mmm. I threw myself into his arms, clutching his waist tightly. Lucas' body went rigid, rooted to the spot in confusion, burying my face in his chest. I mumbled, "Just thinking about your brother makes me ache." He must have just showered, his skin carried the clean scent of body wash. I released him with feigned sorrow, though I'd already mapped the contours of his abs. Nice physique. Clearly works out. Feigning sudden self-awareness. I pulled back hastily, turned away to wipe non-existent tears. "Get some rest." Lucas drew a deep breath. "You should rest too." I shook my head with a fragile smile. "I'll sleep after taking my medication." He frowned. "Medication? Are you ill?" "Sleep doesn't come easy," I said bitterly. "Just sleep aids." He wet his lips. "What would help you sleep better?" I hesitated. "Your brother, he used to hold me." Lucas froze, ears flushing crimson. "I know that's over now." I hurried. "Don't worry, I'll adjust." He exhaled softly. "I promised Ethan I'd take his place." My face twisted with conflict. "But," Lucas repeated firmly, "I'll fulfill his role properly." Youthful gullibility, I marveled silently. When I first joined the Sullivan family at 18, Lucas was still a child. Who knew a decade could transform that brat into such prime specimen? With that invitation, refusal would have been rude. I reluctantly entered his room, reluctantly settled beside him, reluctantly wrapped my arms around his lean, muscular waist. What could I do? I'm just a pitiful woman abandoned by her husband. Men of all ages have that knight in shining armor complex. Objectively speaking, I'm good-looking. Even during those awkward teenage years at school, the name Olivia Parker always came with an unspoken pretty label. This made me refuse to settle for being ordinary. I kept sifting through suitors. Beyond wealth, they had to be easy on the eyes. Marrying up is an art form. Emotional labor must be tailored to the target. Sometimes, money isn't everything. Ethan was my chosen masterpiece, rich, handsome, and deliciously immature. He swaggered around campus like he owned the place, surrounded by lackeys. The cliché bad boy saving the damsel in distress? That became my reality. They say beauty paired with any advantage is unbeatable. Too bad mine came shackled to poverty. My gambling father owed mountains of debt. When loan sharks cornered him in a sewer drain, threatening to chop off his hands, he sold me out. Ethan kicked open my door with a backpack full of cash. Bought me from that bastard without blinking. That same savior complex made him rescue Bella at some bar. Now Lucas, his carbon copy brother, sleeps in my bed. With Ethan, I played whatever role he demanded. But Lucas is my consolation prize. If I'm using him, it'll be on my terms. "Your brother used to" became my magic phrase, bending Lucas to my will. I took full advantage. At first he'd blush at the slightest touch. Soon, boundaries blurred. When I finally kissed him, his lashes fluttered, conflicted but compliant. Our lips met, soft and electric. As his hands gripped my waist to take control, the door code chimed. Ethan. His generous gift of Lucas meant nothing without divorce papers. Legally, I'm still his. Men screw around but demand wives stay chaste. If he caught us, he might spitefully drag out the divorce. No way I'm risking billions for a fling. I shoved Lucas away just as Ethan entered. My eyes widened with practiced shock. Ethan? You're really back. My voice trembled, perfectly embodying the image of a devoted wife. There's something I need to discuss with you privately. Ethan looked visibly exhausted after our brief separation, his eyes bloodshot from apparent turmoil. He led me to the study. Bella hasn't been doing well lately. I kept my head lowered, murmuring acknowledgement while waiting for the inevitable. Did he expect his lawful wife to comfort his mistress? That would shatter my character's integrity. After an awkward pause, he continued, "The soup you make, it's exceptional." The man had all the stereotypical CEO ailments, chronic stomach issues, and picky eating habits. I'd taken culinary courses specifically to manage his health. My head snapped up in disbelief. Was he suggesting I play nursemaid to his pregnant lover? Ethan avoided my gaze, inhaling sharply before confessing. Her morning sickness is severe. The only thing she can keep down is your soup. Could you? Ethan. My voice broke as tears spilled over. He panicked, wiping my cheeks with guilt-ridden hands, clearly aware of his outrageous request, pulling me into an embrace that reeked of another woman's perfume. He whispered, "Liv, you understand how difficult pregnancy can be." I trembled against him, suppressing the urge to shove him away. There was truth in my tears. I'd once harbored genuine feelings for this man. Those fragile emotions died when I'd caught him feeding Bella my painstakingly prepared broth. That moment crystallized my true ambitions. The divorce cooling off period wasn't over yet. Until I secured the assets Ethan promised. I'd serve soup, or even postpartum care if required. I understand. I rasped. Relief smoothed his furrowed brow. This isn't fair to you. I'll make it right. His mention of compensation eased my tension slightly. At least he retained shreds of decency. Clasping my hands, he vowed, "Once the baby's born, we'll remarry." I mirrored his earnest expression, nausea churning beneath my facade. I'd believed his first reconciliation promise, willing to tolerate endless Bellas, Jennifers, or Sarahs. There'd always be younger replacements. Wealth demanded certain compromises. But continuing this charade now revolted me. Men's inherent flaws couldn't be reformed. I'd chosen Ethan for financial security. Yet even that motivation faltered. Satisfied with my compliance, Ethan departed. Lucas waited outside the study, his face tightening at my tear-streaked appearance. "Why are you crying? What did he say?" I brushed imaginary moisture from my eyes. "Nothing important." He gently cradled my face. "You're lying. You've been crying." "What did he really say? Tell me, please?" I avoided his gaze, feigning composure. He said he wanted to taste my soup again. Lucas's brows furrowed. "That alone wouldn't make you this upset. He wanted you to make soup for Bella, didn't he?" I lowered my head without responding. The young man grew visibly agitated. "How can you defend him after how he's treated you? There are other men in this world besides my brother." When I remained silent, he leaned closer, pressing my palm against his cheek. "We look nearly identical. Look at me instead. Liv. Please?" His dark eyes reflected my face like twin mirrors, gleaming with barely concealed yearning. That vulnerable expression reminded me of a puppy seeking its owner's affection. My fingers lingered on his jawline before I withdrew my hand. "Lucas, I was your sister-in-law. This isn't proper. You're divorced now." He insisted stubbornly, turning away. I murmured, "You need to calm down. Impulsive actions breed regret. What I want is willing surrender, whether fortune or affection. They must offer themselves to me freely." Ethan's outrageous offer still echoed in my mind, $1 million per bowl of soup delivered daily. I'd briefly fantasized about flooding his mistress with hundreds of servings until she resembled an overinflated parade balloon, though common sense warned against overplaying my hand. As I prepared the pregnancy-safe broth, Lucas watched in sullen silence. He finally blocked my path when I reached for the insulated container. "Must you really go?" Lowering my lashes, I nodded. "I gave my word." "Skip it just this once?" His plea met my resolute silence. Did he think I'd abandon easy money? After tense moments, he relented. "At least let me drive you." The Sullivan heir's love nest turned out to be a modest mid-tier apartment. Who knew the famously generous tycoon would cheap out on his mistress? Poor Bella, all that scheming for pregnancy benefits without negotiating better accommodations. Ethan himself answered the door, guilt flashing across his features. Before he could speak, Bella waddled out in cartoon print pajamas, dramatically arching her swollen belly. "Ethan." "Whose?" I thrust the thermos into his hands without ceremony. "Oh, it's Liv. Thank you for bringing the soup." I never realized how difficult pregnancy could be. I can't keep anything down, and Ethan's been frantic with worry. Bella clung possessively to Ethan's arm. "I just casually mentioned craving your homemade soup. But I never thought he'd actually tell you." Her voice dripped with undisguised triumph as she watched my face expectantly. $1 million soup delivery should provide some emotional payoff, right? I generously indulged her with a pained smile. "I should get going." Ethan nodded silently while Bella beamed. "You understand I can't be left alone during pregnancy. Lucas is here, so Ethan won't be walking you out." The moment the door closed, my phone vibrated. $1 million deposited. Bella kept eagerly parading her romance with Ethan, watching my bank balance skyrocket. I diligently delivered soups while perfecting my role as the heartbroken ex. My acting proved flawless. Bella bought it. Ethan believed it. Even Lucas fell for it. His gaze grew increasingly conflicted whenever we crossed paths. On the final day of our separation period, I obtained the divorce certificate and Ethan's generous compensation. My hands trembled while holding the documents, not from sorrow, but exhilaration. Ethan misinterpreted my shaking as grief. His initial relief melted into guilt. "This is temporary. Liv. Just 1 year. We'll remarry soon." I blinked back tears with practiced restraint. "I know." When he moved to embrace me, Bella's silent tears across the room froze him mid-motion. She fled without a word, and Ethan instantly abandoned me to chase after her. Stumbling in my heels, I nearly collided with a sharp table edge before strong arms steadied me. Lucas crushed me against his chest, his clean cedar scent enveloping me completely. I pushed weakly against his unyielding embrace. "Look at me," he pleaded hoarsely, trembling like a drenched puppy awaiting mercy, even if only as his substitute. His red-rimmed eyes begged as he pressed his cheek into my palm. "Please. I'll be good." Across the room, Ethan faced his eternal dilemma: comfort the vulnerable mother of his child, or tend to his dutiful ex-wife. He chose Bella, confident that Liv's gentle nature would forgive him. After all, she'd loved him enough to accept this divorce arrangement. But Bella, coddled into petulance, demanded constant reassurance. This time, no amount of coaxing could calm her storm. She kept crying and making a scene. Hysterically, she confronted him. "Ethan Sullivan, did you ever truly love me?" He patiently comforted her again and again, but she always found new accusations sharp, uncomfortable truths he'd rather avoid. "What about Liv?" she demanded. "What are you really thinking?" Ethan suddenly felt suffocated. Bella's tear-streaked face irritated him. The cluttered house grated on his nerves. Her shrill voice clawed at his patience. He thought Liv would never appear this disheveled. Even when crying, she remained composed, delicate shoulders trembling slightly, silent tears tracing perfect paths down her cheeks. Turning away, He inhaled deeply. "We'll talk when you've calmed down," he said, escaping through the door he now associated with chaos. He couldn't comprehend how things deteriorated so badly. Since Bella's pregnancy, their arguments had become constant. They'd been so happy before the divorce. Ethan poured another whiskey, the burn down his throat mirroring his confusion. Was separating really the right choice? Memories of his early days with Liv flooded back, making him question everything. Through the alcoholic haze, one thought crystallized: he needed to see Liv. As my front door opened, Lucas immediately pulled me into a searing kiss that stole my breath. I welcomed his urgency. It had been too long since anyone showed such desperate need. Men aren't the only ones with physical desires. His youthful vigor pleased me. His constant attention to my responses so different from Ethan's self-absorption. We lost ourselves in each other. His lips reverently tracing mine as he murmured "Live" like a prayer. When my bedside phone illuminated the darkness, I reached for it only to have Lucas capture my wrist, drawing me back into his embrace. He silenced the device with practiced ease after our third round. "Who was that?" I asked during post-coital cleanup, watching colored lights from the pool below dance across his bare chest. "Spam call," he lied smoothly. I didn't challenge him. I had everything I wanted here. Why dwell on mysteries? Deep in the night, I felt Lucas leave our tangle of sheets. His lips brushed my forehead before he stepped onto the balcony. Through the glass door, I heard his clipped tone: "She's asleep." The drunkard's plea, "Liv, please come get me," carried clearly before Lucas terminated the call. Saying those words to my own brother ignited a forbidden thrill in my chest. His voice dripped with challenge. "When Ethan asked me to comfort your wife, it seems I pleased her better. Enjoy your father-to-be status. It's late, and we're retiring now." As he delivered this final blow, I lay motionless on the bed, a faint smile curling my lips. Youthful vigor served him well. I slept soundly until violent pounding shattered the dawn quiet. Lucas had changed the passcode, forcing Ethan to beat his fists against the door. Rising to answer, I found Lucas blocking my path. "I'll handle this. Go eat." The vivid love marks on his neck convinced me to comply. Ethan's bloodshot eyes absorbed every detail when Lucas opened the door. "Where's Liv?" he demanded, shoving past only to freeze at the sight of passion's evidence on his brother's skin. The fragmented memories crystallized: last night's mysterious call, the growing suspicion. His disbelieving gaze locked on Lucas' defiant smirk. "You." Ethan's voice broke, fists trembling. "She's your sister-in-law. How dare you?" Lucas chuckled, leaning casually against the doorframe. "Ex-sister-in-law. Unless I'm mistaken, we'll remarry." Ethan roared with misplaced certainty, still clinging to his delusion that after Isabella delivered his child, I'd dutifully resume my role as his domesticated wife. "Stop fantasizing," Lucas sneered, turning to flash me a tender look. "She prefers me now. Ethan, you've grown, dated." The punch landed with a sickening crack. "Let Liv speak for herself," Ethan bellowed past his brother's bleeding lip. I savored my breakfast upstairs, fingertips dancing across my phone screen while their confrontation escalated. Only when the perfect message arrived did I descend, extinguishing my screen with finality. Two pairs of Sullivan eyes burned into me, one anxious, the other desperate. "This isn't your concern," Lucas insisted, but I silenced him with a glance. Ethan's gaze raked over us, raw betrayal twisting his features. "We're divorced," I stated icily. His automatic correction came coated in arrogance: "We'll remarry." My laugh sliced through his fantasy. "After Isabella has your bastard?" Understanding dawned, followed by reckless assurance. "I'll claim the child as ours." The silverware clattered as I stood. "Keep your mistress spawn. This ends now." His protests faded as security dragged him away, Lucas' arms already encircling my waist. We watched through bulletproof glass as paparazzi ambushed Ethan with photos of his pregnant mistress, the final checkmate in yesterday's strategic message. Lucas nuzzled my hair. Checkmate? Hardly. I produced 2 tickets from my pocket. Our flight to Barbados leaves in 3 hours. Your brother's empire should collapse right about. A distant crash echoed as Ethan's car plowed through paparazzi barricades. Now. His laughter warmed my neck. Remind me never to cross you. We left the crumbling Sullivan legacy in our wake. The private jet cabin soon filled with breathless whispers. Somewhere over the Atlantic. Lucas paused mid-kiss. You never answered. Why choose me? My fingers traced his jawline. You're the upgrade he never saw coming. Below us. Financial networks lit up with Sullivan Group's stock plummeting. By dawn, only ashes would remain of Ethan's kingdom and our new empire would rise. He remained as arrogant as ever, convinced he could control everything. I sighed helplessly. We're already divorced and have a child. Stop spouting those delusional words, it's childish. Ethan seemed not to comprehend. I never wanted us to separate. This was all for the child. Once she gives birth, I'll pay her off. She'll disappear from our lives completely. We can go back to how things were. So that's what you really think? Bella's voice trembled as she emerged. Eyes red-rimmed. I thought you loved me. But it was always about the child. Ethan impatiently shook off her grip. The sudden motion sent Bella sprawling. Blood trickled down her legs. Bella! Are you hurt? Ethan panicked. Crouching beside her. I calmly tossed car keys to Lucas. Take them to the hospital. What about you? He instinctively asked. I stared silently until he turned away. Letting them use my car was mercy enough. Chaos ensued at the hospital. Despite efforts, Bella's child couldn't be saved. Her prior miscarriage risks, emotional turmoil, and the fall sealed this tragedy. She drifted in numb silence after waking, all tears spent. When Ethan learned of the loss, fleeting grief gave way to relief. No child meant he could reconcile with Liv. But Liv and Lucas? His own brother? Unthinkable. Rage simmered as Ethan convinced himself Liv only tolerated Lucas because he resembled him. She'd come crawling back eventually. Hadn't he saved her from debt collectors years ago? Compared to other wealthy men with their harems, keeping only Bella made him practically virtuous. As for Bella, he'd compensate her generously. Money, status, whatever she demanded. Lucas returned after the hospital run, burying his face against my neck. Are you leaving me? He whispered anxiously. I carted fingers through his hair. Why ask? Just a feeling. His intuition startled me. Tilting his chin up, I met his gaze. Have you considered where this leads? His lashes lowered. Every day. But I love you. The earnest puppy devotion in his eyes left me cold. He embodied everything I desired, obedient, affectionate. Yet being Ethan's brother changed nothing. My resolve to leave remained unshakable. No man, not even this beautiful tragedy, would anchor me here. When I didn't respond, he desperately kissed my lips but received no reaction. Lucas's eyes brimmed with tears. His voice trembling. Do you really not want me? I'm not Ethan. I'll be good. I promise. I sighed, showing him my exhausted expression. I'm just tired. His gaze dimmed. I understand. What made Lucas more likable than Ethan was his emotional intelligence. I softened my tone. Maybe after some rest. He nodded quietly despite obvious disappointment. I'll wait however long it takes. I pretended to believe him, knowing better than to take a young man's romantic notions seriously. While checking flight tickets, my phone buzzed with Ethan's message. Liv, give me time. We'll fix this. I know you're using Lucas to punish me. This time went too far. I'll never hurt you again. The man's delusions astounded me. I typed back, "You delivered him to my doorstep yourself." The typing indicator flickered endlessly before my phone rang. Ethan's enraged voice exploded. "Have you no shame? You're his sister-in-law. What kind of promiscuous, immoral?" I hung up mid-rant. Typical male hypocrisy. History praised emperors sharing consorts as romantic legends. Yet when women did the same, suddenly it's promiscuity. He kept calling from different numbers, first furious threats, then arrogant negotiations. "My affair cancels out yours. Apologize and I'll forgive you." I hung up again. His tone shifted to desperate pleading. "Liv, I love you. Let's remarry. I can't live without you." I stopped answering. After selling the last Sullivan family property, I destroyed my SIM card. The accumulated wealth from liquidating Ethan's gifts would fund my new life, changing all contact information. I left the city reinvented, wealthy, unburdened, ready for adventures. Later, I heard Ethan paid Bella to disappear. Before leaving, she gave him medical records revealing his infertility. Ethan had been in a car accident. It happened with Bella. Back then they were deeply in love. When the crash came, he shielded pregnant Bella with his own body, getting injured himself. Had Bella's child been born safely, he could have been a father. But he made her terminate it. After this, Ethan became a broken man. The board removed him as CEO. Lucas took over. All this I learned from Lucas. Before leaving, I gave him an old email address I rarely used. Sometimes I'd check it. Lucas said after I left, Ethan went crazy searching for me. He'd sob hysterically outside my old apartment like some madman. I just found it embarrassing. Thank God I'd left quickly. Lucas kept apologizing to me. I didn't really care, we'd both gotten what we wanted from the arrangement. Though the ending was messy. His emails weren't frequent, but each always ended with, "I'll keep waiting." The last time I checked that inbox, I'd just returned from seeing northern lights in Norway. There's an old Nordic legend that aurora gazers get their wishes granted. Truth or not, that luminous spectacle left no room for other thoughts. Solo travels felt liberating, exhilarating. My final stop was Yunnan. Cerulean skies, cotton like clouds, perfect weather most days. Evening bike rides along the coast. Salt-kissed breezes, everything felt right. Waking naturally. Sipping cocktails at bars. Swapping travelers' tales with strangers. Only downside, I got sunburned. I settled there. Opened a guest house. Adopted a gluttonous orange tabby named Bangwa. Obese but charming. He'd sunbathe by the entrance. Tourists couldn't resist feeding him. Watching his spherical body, I resolved to put him on a diet. No feeding fat cat signs helped, temporarily. Soon he regained his rotund glory. Baffled, I caught him scaling walls with surprising agility to steal food from guests' tables. Endless apologies followed. Damn cat! When Bangwa trotted home with stolen fish jerky again, I snapped. Chased him through the courtyard until a pair of strong hands scooped up the fleeing furball. I looked up and froze. Lucas stood there, mature now with those striking eyes glassy and red-rimmed. His voice cracked, "I'm done waiting. Thank you all for the company, your support fuels my passion for sharing these sweet romance stories. See you next time."